We will call to order the Midtown Redevelopment Board meeting of 9 May 2023 to order. We have a roll call.
Sean Collins.
Here.
Tangela Hardy.
Here.
Joan Shepherd. Renee Richardson.
Here.
Kathy Washington. Nathan McGullough. Davita Barner.
Here.
Lynn Thompson. You have one.
For the record, I was informed by the sources that Mr. Magala had a last minute emergency he had to take care of, so if we can kind of make that a note there. That he's just not missing.
Okay.
Let me know. All right, and I think we had the same thing from Mr. Thompson as well.
Yeah, he notified us. Yeah, Mr. Thompson actually notified us by email.
All right, we will have invocation and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Father, we come before you with open ears and humble hearts, asking that, Father, during this meeting that your will be done, Father, not our own, that you speak to our hearts and you speak to our minds, that we would do what we need to do for this community and for this city. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you've done for us in this day and all that you will do. And we'll always give you all the honor in your son's name. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to apologize at the outset that this is May, which means it's springtime. And I am the poster child for hay fever and allergies. And so if it looks like I'm in a sweat camp, that's the reason why. I am hotter than fish grease up here. But other than that, I'm okay. But we will have a motion to approve the minutes of April 11, 2023.
I motion to approve the minutes of April 11th.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any unreadiness, questions, additions, subtractions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We have staff report beginning with Captain Conti from the Police Department.
Good evening.
Evening.
For this most recent CompStat period, ending in April 22nd, 2023, I have the following stats. For homicides, we are sitting at 0% change. For auto thefts, we are still seeing a significant increase. We are sitting at a 96% increase compared to last year. For burglaries, we're down 34%. For larcenies, we're down 10%. For robberies, we're down 29%. For overall aggravated assaults and batteries, we're down 14%. For sexual offenses, we're up 17% from 6 reported last year to 7 reported this year. Overall, though, we're doing very well. We have a decrease in Part 1 crimes of 4%, although we have an increase in calls for service of 11%. So last year, we had about 19,800 calls, but compared to this year, from January 1st to April 22nd, we've handled almost 22,000 calls for service. And if I may, for 1 second, the police department has been doing a very consistent and good job of notifying everyone of the ongoing crime trends as far as the auto thefts go. For those that own Hyundais and Kias, some of them still have the opportunity to contact the dealership and bring in for it to be serviced and updated. So that will potentially and hopefully start curbing some of these ongoing issues where the vehicles are being stolen without any keys. Does anyone have any questions or comments for me?
Question, Captain Conti?
No, thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you.
Quick one. Now we will have, let me get my notes, Ms. Kirk from Code Enforcement.
Good evening. Sarah Kirk, Code Inspector with the city. For the month of April, there were 44 cases opened in Midtown, 6 of which were open and closed within the same month, which most likely means they were unfounded or resolved quickly. Does anybody have any questions?
You would have an even shorter one.
Oh, a follow-up with Ms. Richardson. I did notify the inspector for that area with that house we were discussing on South Martin Luther King. So he is looking into that for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you just kind of refresh everybody what was that about? Because it was like a slumlord kind of situation.
Yes, the property at, I think it's 935 South Martin Luther King, he is definitely a slumlord. It has been numerous people coming to rent, but they have not rented that facility. Every time that they look into it and stuff, they drive away because it's horrible, and they're still trying to rent it. Doesn't look like what it looks like on the internet, but they have not been able to rent that. So that's a great thing. People are not being, taken advantage of with the money and stuff, so.
And if I can, Mr. Chair, you'd asked me some questions about it, and Ms. Richardson, as you might recall, I don't know if it was the next day after our last meeting or the day after that, but I spent some time looking at it, and, we discussed some of what I found. I'd also mentioned this to Mr. Sykes, who's the head of the Code Enforcement Inspection Program, and I understand from him that he'd also brought it to the attention of our police department.
Okay.
So, and it does appear based on the names of the owners that, as I mentioned to Ms. Richardson, there are similar stories about the owner that have been on like Action News and Wesh and stuff like that. So hopefully that's something that can be pursued. But if you do know anybody who's, and Ms. Richardson went into this a little bit more at length at the last meeting, who's being victimized, a lot of people are voting with their feet, I'm sure, and leaving as soon as they can, but they need to contact the police department
Okay.
and make complaints.
Good to know.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I just want to say good to know. I do appreciate that because I actually have someone that just moved out, so I'll relay that information to her not from that one, but a different home.
Yeah, I had a meeting with staff, about 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
With Mr. Thompson and Ms. Tolliver, and I think Mr. Thompson said he kind of knew of them over in Lake County. Without mentioning any names, I'll just say what I remember him telling us is that these were a group of doctors who own several properties, not just here in 386, but over in 852 and other parts of the state. And so I bring that to the attention I know what defamation means, so I'm not calling out any names. But those kind of landlords are not, I guess, immune from different professions, if you will. And it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter what kind of money you make, it's the kind of person that you are, to do that. These are people who you would least expect to have to do that. And so I don't think it's a question of whether or not they have to do it. They just like doing it.
Yeah.
So when he told me about that, I was kind of shocked. It's a group of doctors that own these properties, But anyway, I'm glad you brought that back to our attention.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Ms. Kirk?
No.
Thank you all.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, Ms. Tolliver, you're on deck.
Yep, I don't have any projects to report. We're still waiting for Framework to provide their site plans for the 544 Orange Avenue, but I don't have any. Ms. Richardson and I spoke about the sign that's on Dr. King Boulevard. No application submitted. It's a sign just notifying the city residents, visitors, business owners that they have plans for the property.
Just can you update everybody? I know what they're talking
There
about.
is
I
a
don't know.
property I guess, across the street from Checkers. I don't know the address. There's a sign that says
I took a picture of it.
Ross Courts.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just a sign. The property owner is notifying the public that they plan to build residential property on the site, but there have been no official plans submitted to the city. And we haven't met with them based on the new name. Yep. But it's right, it used to be a blue building that sold restaurant equipment, and the land is now vacant.
Yeah, future home of Ross Court, Phase 1. Yeah, nice rendering.
Yeah. Yep.
So someone did a little research on it. If they want to talk about it, they can, but it's up to them, whoever that is. Okay, I'll leave it alone. All right, but yeah, that's some good news. Hopefully, you all eventually get an application there. It's in Midtown, basically the heart of Midtown. Some would say the gateway to Midtown. Right there, just south of the intersection of ISB and MLK. And it's on the, I guess that would be the west side of the property there, west side of the street. So drive by there just before you get, I guess, before the intersection. Is that Magnolia the next one?
Yes.
Yeah. So something's happening. We're gonna pray on it, because it's a nice looking development there. But anyway, anything else, Mr. Oliver?
I don't have anything else.
Now, I heard something came across my feed this afternoon about a meeting with from the city. They said I forget the staff that they mentioned was there, and they were talking about something's about to happen on MMB. Some grants, money's available. Y'all had a meeting or something?
I am not aware of that. Okay. I wasn't at that meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about.
But either way, something's happening, so that's good. City's getting some money available for property owners to do some things and stuff, so that's good. All right, moving right along, we're on item 7A presentation spotlight in Midtown. What we usually do, I'm going to have Mr. Pierre Lewis come up and kind of introduce you and stuff, and we'll go from there.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, and to the board. It's good to see you again. Normally, I know when we first talked about the spotlight on Midtown, a few things that we didn't really codify the rules when we were talking about it to specialize in a business, and I was out meeting a lot of the business owners. But another thing that we mentioned before, Mr. Chair, was to try to get some of the people that were on the actual board, that if you knew of businesses, you knew of something, it didn't necessarily have to come from me. And lo and behold, one of your board members, Mr. Chair, Ms. Hardy, from what I understand, had a business that she wanted to spotlight. So I don't want to steal her thunder, and I'll give her the opportunity to go ahead and introduce I can go ahead? Oh, I guess I can add. I don't think go ahead. But either way, I'm glad that she actually found the business or notified the business that's there, because I actually had some dealings with Habitat. So I'm glad. So I know that they've done a great community service all around. Right. And it's good to see that they're here.
Thank you very much for having me here this evening. I was very happy to make the acquaintance of Ms. Hardy and have a chance to speak to you tonight. So my name is Darlene Wolfson. I'm the Director of Homeowner Services with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Volusia County. We do serve this part of the county. We have quite a few homes in Midtown area and in Daytona. There are 2 other affiliates in the county that serve other parts of the county, but we're yours. So I do have a slide presentation. I'll go through it rather quickly so that we can allow time for questions. So the home you see pictured is an actual home that happens to be in Port Orange, and that is representative of many of the homes that we are building. But it's not a promise that if you apply, that's the home you get. So we are a fair housing organization, so we observe all the policies that you would hope somebody would. We are a special purpose program, so just our mission is to seeking to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. And while we were founded as a Christian housing ministry and continue to be that, we serve people of all religions, of no religion, of whatever. So that is there is no requirement that you have any particular or not have any particular religion to do our program. Okay, so our criteria, we are a special purpose housing program, meaning that while we are a mortgage writer, we are targeting a specific group of people who present three things: need, ability to pay, and a willingness to partner. Each affiliate, and we are operating independently, each affiliate defines that on their own, but you'll find they're very similar. So for us, need is any of the following. Where you are now is not adequate housing. It's considered substandard. It could be that it's overcrowded, and the specific definition of that would be not square footage, but adults sharing a room that aren't partnered, adults and kids sharing a bedroom, opposite gendered children sharing a bedroom, somebody's on a couch and using it as a bedroom. That's overcrowded. It could be that the structure is in very bad repair, not cosmetic, but a systems failure. Maybe it's repaired and not really repaired, like just sort of Band-Aids, or maybe it's truly remaining in bad repair. It could be that it's a transitional setting, a transitional housing program, a hotel, a car, a shelter. Any of those would be considered transitional. Also, transitional would be a relative or friend with whom you are staying, and it isn't intended to be a permanent situation. And then the big one, more than 35% of your income is going to rent. If anybody's renting, they're paying more than 35% of their income. And just one of those rises to the occasion of need. You don't have to check off all those boxes, though certainly many people could. One of them would be need, and you do have to be able to demonstrate that. So just about everybody calling me has that. Check, 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 check. I don't have a lot of trouble finding need, not here and not anywhere. The second one is where I start to lose people. One of the major misconceptions about Habitat is that it's a free house. I get many, many calls. I'm calling to get my free house. This is a mortgage. That means we have to follow all the lending guidelines. We have to follow all the banking standards. We serve between 40 and 80% of the median income, adjusted for family size, with some adjustments at the lower end of the household size. So for ability to pay, we're looking at income versus debt. We're looking for 40% or better, and we're looking at your credit. Now, the income is adjusted annually along with HUD guidelines. The credit to debt has to be 40% or better. We're looking at finance debt, not just monthly expenses, but finance debt that shows up on your credit report. And you have to be paying your bills on time. The good news about the credit is you can have just fixed it, or you can have no credit. So unlike a traditional lending institution, because we are the bank as well as the builder, if you've never borrowed and you don't have anything on your credit report, I don't want you going out to open 4 trade lines so that you can prove you can pay money and owe money. That's okay. I'm okay with that credit score being low. It's the result, nothing in collections, beyond potentially medical. That's handled a little bit differently because of some of the state laws regarding foreclosure when there's medical. So that's where I lose people. They're calling me, and they're not really there yet with the ability to pay. So that's a lot of calls, have number one, not so many have number two. But if I lend below a certain income, I am predatory lending. If I lend below a certain income, debt to income ratio, I'm predatory lending. And if I lend above the income, I'm taking away from somebody else who could be getting a home. So in that way, it's a little bit like down payment assistance or home buyer's assistance. There is an income minimum and maximum. All right, willingness to partner. This is where we're very different than a traditional lender, but this is the one people tend to know about. People are going to contribute sweat equity. Now, we don't have a down payment requirement. We don't have interest on our mortgages. What we have is what's called sweat equity. That's where you're helping construct homes. You're doing hours of service. You're doing hours of classroom learning. You're doing saving toward closing costs. Now, the hours of service, right now, the requirement is 300 hours. The majority will be completed by the person or people on the mortgage. But we do allow friends and family to contribute hours. If somebody is physically not able to do a task, we will not be requiring that task. We can find ways for everybody to be partnered with us and helping, even if what you're doing is sitting at the welcome table at the construction site and handing out water. That's partnering. And we can accommodate all disabilities except a poor attitude, so we can do that. People do hours at our store as well. In Port Orange, we were just talking about the store, this gentleman and I, if you haven't been down there, please check it out. You have a flyer about that. And you have to meet with me monthly and go over your finances. I am in your business the entire time you're in the program. Until you have the keys, I need to see your bank statements. I need to see what's happening with you financially because you need to stay within our ability to pay. So no downturn that would turn it into a predatory loan. All right, so the first step is they call me. You all have my number. If you don't have my card and you call the number and you say you want a house, they'll get you to me. You look at the information, you attend an information session. That's a free class. We have it once a month. It's an hour and a half. You get the application. We go over all the forms that you need to bring back to me to submit it. You sit down with me. The most common thing then is you don't have all your papers. You think you do, but you don't, because it's a lot to apply for a mortgage. Or you're not quite there with your income or your debt to income, in which case, maybe sitting down with me is a roadmap. That's usually what happens. I tend to meet with people 3 or 4 times before they actually are ready to say, I'm ready to submit that application. And that's fine. I have no problem meeting with somebody multiple times. There's no fee to apply, but there is a credit check fee that I have to do. So that goes before a committee. They meet with you if you get to that point, and most people that submit their application do. The board then gets your application. They don't meet with you. They don't have to say yes, but I haven't seen them say no when the committee said yes. They're all volunteers. They all want you to be a homeowner. That's why they do this. And then you start the program. And every month you're doing classes about homeownership, you're doing hours of service, and you're doing savings toward closing costs. We estimate around $150 a month in savings. And you may have 0 when you start the program. That's okay. You're gonna have to start saving. All right, so once you get to a certain point, we pick a lot. That's often infill. That's how we ended up with a lot of lots in Midtown. We are gonna be doing a full development a little bit down the line. We're still permitting that in Daytona. And in that case, then it won't be lot selection. It'll be go look over there. That's where your house would be. We are not there yet. All right, so let's look at some of our classes. People in our program are usually first-time home buyers. They're often first-generation home buyers. So we know that they don't have all the information somebody might like that, boy, I wish I had had as a homeowner when I first started. So this is just a list of some of the classes we go over. Obviously, financial literacy is a big one. We want to front load all the knowledge they need, all the dynamics of saving and budgeting. We try to bring in speakers from other areas, other expertise, so that it's not just me talking every time. But they're not all, cut and dry finance. We have code enforcement. That's our favorite. Everybody loves the code enforcement class because we don't want them to think, it's my house now, I'm king of my castle, it's whatever I want. Ooh, no, you're the worst neighbor. No one wants you as a neighbor if that's your attitude. So we try to nip some of that in the bud. But there's a lot of things you would not know if you never owned a home. So we have things like, here's how you use a lawnmower. Here's how you do homestead exemption. There's a lot of hand holding at this point so that when they're in the home, we don't need to hold the hand. And we want people to want habitat as a neighbor. Okay. All right, those are some photos from some of our, now if you look in the upper right corner, that is a home. You have an invitation there to the dedication, which is this Friday. The homeowner was in the paper this Sunday. I don't know if you got a chance to see the paper, but
Yes, I did see that.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the young lady that's going to be living in that home. She is not pictured here, but if you look in the very center, you see Dr. Ann Taylor Green, who is on our board with a couple of board members, and also Patty Ford is on our selection committee. And they had a board work day, so they all came. And now, if you see right above that photo, that home is on Marion Street, that homeowner. And so she's in the Midtown area, and she closed last fall. So we have a lot of homeowners around here. You see somebody getting a lesson in the lawnmower there, so that's what's happening there. And you see the home with all the there's no drywall up, but all the studs. That's a rehab. We also rehab homes to like new condition, and that is also in Midtown. That was a concrete block home that was taken all the way down to the studs because it needed to be. But now it's like new condition. So those are some of our homes. That's a little plug for our store, which is in Port Orange. If you haven't been there, check it out. If you have things you want to donate and you need a pickup, please give us a call. If you want to come down and shop, so much the better. We have great things there. 100% of the profits run our homeowner program. Now, the homes are sold with all appliances are new, so the stuff you donate does not go into the home. The money from the sales goes into the home. So that's a lot of information in a very short time, but I want to encourage you all to let us know if you'd like to be a part of the dedication. We would welcome and love to have you all there to get an in-person tour. The majority of our mortgages are 30-year mortgages. We work closely with LaShondra, who right now just received yesterday part 2 of that house down payment assistance. So our mortgages, our houses are sold at appraised value, meaning if the house appraises at $225, that's the sales price. but that's not what the person can afford. So we calculate the mortgage, 25% of their income. The difference between the two is covered by down payment assistance, as well as a silent second mortgage, which Habitat puts the bill. It only comes into play. It doesn't get filed. It only comes into play should they sell the home before a certain time, or should a foreclosure occur. We have a very low foreclosure rate. You can't beat a no-interest mortgage, and people know that. And that's my quick elevator speech. So I'm open for questions now, which I'm told there may be quite a few.
You were told correctly.
Okay.
I'll start, Ms. Bonner.
Well, thank you so much for your presentation, and I see it's evolved quite a bit. I was involved when Jane Walter first was starting here in the early 90s on the advisory council then, and we were putting some things into place. So it's wonderful every time I see that there's more progression with the openings. That's wonderful. How many stores are in the area now?
Just one with our affiliate. Now, there is one in DeLand with that affiliate, and there's one in New Smyrna with that affiliate. And that you mentioned other projects, we're also doing a beautification project with Commissioner Reed. And we've been doing, if they've gotten a roof, we've gone and done painting and replacing some siding and a lot of landscaping. And I think we're going out on South Street this Saturday to do landscaping. Okay. And I think I'm dragging my daughter to make her do it too.
But that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Richardson.
I only have one or two questions. What sizes are the homes that the customers are getting? The room sizes, how many?
Okay, so right now, and it does change over time. Habitat used to build one way, but we want to keep up with what is considered standard construction, which is why now we do dishwashers. We never used to. Average right now is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. We are going to begin doing townhomes that are 2-2. And that is because we have seen an increase in the number of one-person households that are requesting program participation, applying to the program. So we are starting to mix up what we're building to meet the needs of the community. The average is around 1,200 to 1,300 square feet. So we would do with a larger family. We'd know at the time of entry a 4-bedroom if we needed to. Some of our rehabs may have more depending on what was there originally. And of course, any home that we build could be accommodated with ADA standards if we needed to. But we'd know going in so we can build appropriately.
Another question. You said the townhomes, so the lots that will be available or the lots that you guys purchase, you'll be building 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhomes?
That is the intention. Now, we have not even yet selected which builder, which plans we're going to be using for the townhomes.
Okay.
And we are probably going to be starting, well, we're trying to get the lots surveyed right now.
Okay.
So when we do the big development that we will be doing, there will be a mix there also.
Okay. And these townhomes will be same concept of mortgages?
Absolutely.
And okay.
Yes.
All right.
And when we do a development, we will have an HOA. So
Okay.
that's unavoidable.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Hardy.
I know we the last one. I do have one question. As far as your rehab homes, you said that you do the rehabs. So if somebody wanted to enter your program to have their home rehabbed, will they already have had to pay their mortgage off, or what?
We
how does
rehab
that?
homes that we own.
That you own. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
We don't have what's called a critical repair program, though we have done a couple of test cases with a roof, and we're exploring that. Some habitats have a very strong, and that's the focus of existing homes. We don't have one. We're tiptoeing towards that, but we're trying to do a lot of things at once. So that might be a little bit back burner. But we would rehab a home that we own to like new condition and sell it just like a regular.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all I had. Thank you for coming, by the way.
First question. Is this the program that President Carter is affiliated with?
Thank you for asking. He's affiliated with it, and I appreciate that word because he didn't start the program, though that is often what people think. He was very dear friends with the person that did start the program and who was also from Americus, Georgia. And so he went over and saw what they were doing and became very involved right from very early on. The founder is actually Millard Fuller, who has passed. He actually came and visited this affiliate several times. This is very near and dear to us. And until very recently, President Carter and his wife were out at the build site.
Wow.
very recently.
So maybe I missed that part of your presentation. Are your mortgage homes the new ones, or they're both the rehab as well?
Everything is us, both.
So what? Okay, so when you're putting a family in there, it could be a new home or it could be a rehabbed home.
Right, but we're the ones rehabbing it to like new. To them, it's a mortgage.
Yeah. I'm just trying to
Right.
figure out. Okay, so how do you decide which family gets to rehab?
Well,
Which
that
one gets the
actually,
new?
people would prefer the rehabs for the most part
Really?
because
They're cheaper?
it's faster.
Okay.
Not really cheaper. By the time we're done with it, we've probably rehabbed it where it's
Almost new, yeah.
going to be the same appraisal. When at this point, when you are about 2/3 of the way through your sweat equity and two-thirds of the way through your savings, it's time for lot selection, at which point we would have a lot that we were already permitting. That would be the home you're offered. You can say no. If you do, the next person on the list is going to get a chance at that home. And that's how we're doing it right now. So you're at this point in the program, this is the next home, take a look.
Okay.
However, as we come with the development, that process is going to change. We do serve the west side of the county as well, Deltona, DeBerry, Orange City area. So you could say when you start the program, and you should tell me I want east side or west side, just so that we're not showing you a home that isn't at least in the same geographic area you're trying to achieve. But you do have to go into it with some faith that we're going to try to put you somewhere you want to be.
Right.
And you will be paying taxes and insurance, and you will be choosing your insurance. We have classes about that as well. And the taxes are, of course, up to the municipality.
Do you all work much with the housing authority here and their clients?
Yes, in fact, one of the people pictured that is in Midtown came from them and was a referral through the self-sufficiency program. We always welcome those opportunities. We do find, that as more referrals as we can get, the better. We do find, though, that a lot of people who have been in a subsidized housing program where they're paying $200 a month are not going to have the income to change into 40% of the area income. So we'd work with them, but they still have to fall within the guidelines. Regardless of the source of income, it has to be within our guidelines.
I brought that up because from his lips to our ears, the executive director of the housing authority, because I asked him specifically, can you use Section 8 dollars for mortgages? And his response was, what?
Well, it can be done.
Right.
We have not. We would welcome that. I actually got a call about that earlier this week, not from Daytona, but from another area. And there are habitats that are doing that. We would certainly welcome that, but it would require that the housing authority obligate to a mortgage for the entirety of the mortgage.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And if they're willing to do that and they can put that in writing, we would love to have that opportunity. Then it would be treated like any source of income.
right. I mean, and I don't know if you know much about Section 8, so you have to bear with me right now.
Yep.
There's generations of Section 8 families in there. I'm talking about great-grandmothers. So the fact that, they're paying the mortgage now, in a sense.
Yeah.
So I don't see why that would be a hard of a transition to use that money that they're paying for Section 8 rental, because you're making the landlord rich now, correct? Because the new program allows you to basically take your Section 8 voucher and spend it anywhere in the community. That's not what I know. That's not what I heard. That's what I know.
If
So I'm saying-
the Section 8 voucher can read, or if the housing authority will have the voucher read as something that can be transitioned to a mortgage for the entirety of the mortgage at that guaranteed amount, then we can.
Okay.
Then it's treated like any other source of income. And
But right, to this date, that's not something you've
not
come
that
across?
we have had somebody pursue. We've had plenty of people inquire, but there were, have at this point, have not. I know there are some habitats that's been a lot more common, usually cities.
Big cities, yeah.
Bigger cities, but we are very open to that and would love to have that come through. Open up a spot, have somebody be a homeowner. Absolutely.
Hold on, I'm getting to you. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Sure you did. Go ahead.
Make me a promise you'll get one off of Section 8 by this time
I
next year.
can't. No, I am a lender. I cannot make a promise in advance.
This is what I'm getting at. Make a promise to try. Coordinate with the executive director. Do that for us. Do
I
that.
would, it would be
Just
my
one.
CEO.
That's all I want you to do. Just the one.
We would love to have that partnership. But I cannot, as a lender, promise to make a loan.
I
to
didn't
a
say
client
promise.
that
I
hasn't
said
that.
promise to make an effort.
We would happily make an effort to partner with them, yes.
I'm sorry that they didn't give you a warning in advance to come here, but
Oh, they
that's how I roll. So I don't want you to just come here and leave and not.
I promise.
Give us something to
I-
shoot for.
I can't obligate my CEO, but we certainly would make every effort and would love to have us sit down and talk about how we can make that more possible.
Yeah.
And increase the people in our program. We need people, so we would love to have that be people who are going to open up then another
Right.
spot for somebody that needs it. And
Because you have a
be
program that already walks them through the steps of going from a renter to a homeowner.
Yes,
You talk about taxes. Talk about lawnmowers. This is ideal for Section 8. Ideal. Because I'm assuming some of your clients are already out there in the natural market. They're not being subsidized by the federal government, correct? They're just paying their
most of them are
mortgage.
in a regular rental.
Right,
or
they're just
staying
paying
with
their
a
mortgage now.
relative, Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're the least needy, but they really are. The ones who most needy are the ones in Section 8.
The average
literally
person
have
is
been-
living with a relative,
Excuse-
and that the average person calling me is staying with a family member.
Yeah, but they're not on Section 8,
No,
right?
no, but just to give an example, if you've got a family of 5 living on a porch, I'd say that's pretty neat.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But the Section 8 is a whole different universe.
Yep.
It is.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'd like to explore that universe.
All right. Yes, fantastic. Ms. Richards.
My wheels are turning
Okay.
because the gateway of how to connect you, the Housing Authority, the director of the Housing Authority.
That's right.
We need to connect you guys together so that we can come to the table because that connection just would be amazing. And it would be so many people that has the sweat equity, doing the sweat equity to build something for themselves it would be amazing. They would definitely, it's so many families that want that, but they don't know how to go about to get it. And it seems untouchable for them. And that program that you have, and I never knew that Habitat offered, whether it was in another state or another area, the ability to change or accept a Section 8 voucher that could possibly get a person a mortgage that qualified for that and stuff. That's amazing. That is amazing. So I'm
have
going to
my
be calling
card,
you.
you have
Yes,
the information.
I'm going to be calling you because I definitely want to see how we can connect you with the Housing Authority, with the director, and maybe have a conversation to see, as well as the city providing whatever lots, however they do it. If you have those lots available, people would be willing to do that, and it's a lot of people that don't know that.
So keep in mind, and I look forward to that conversation, as would my boss, who will probably be the one actually having that conversation, at least maybe I'm part of it. Keep in mind insurance costs, because unless, so the income, no matter how big the Section 8 subsidy, they still have to be able to do insurance.
Yes.
And maybe that's something Section 8 can help with. That part I do not know. But we're looking at the whole thing of homeownership, but I look forward to that conversation.
Yes.
And in the meantime, if you have families who want to give me a call.
Oh,
Just because you
absolutely.
aren't ready to go doesn't mean you can't come to the class and learn more and get the application, even if you aren't ready to go right then. Whether it's because of Section 8 or you need to find a job or whatever the situation is, still come to the class, learn more.
All right. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
All right.
Thank you. Good
And if you'd
presentation.
like to come to the dedication, please call our office. We'd love to have you.
Okay.
Thanks again. All right, now we're into item 8A, Board's 2023 Needs Plan. You were handed out a couple of things. And first of all, what was handed out in your agenda packet, and also what was handed out tonight from Mr. Thompson concerning his particular item on the needs plan. And as soon as I get my hands on ours, we'll start going here. Okay, here we go. All right, so we've got, 1, 2, 3, We got 5 big items, broad items: infrastructure, beautification, increased home ownership, like we just talked about, communications, and small business investment. Guess how do we want to proceed tonight? We've already adopted this one here. What I asked everybody to think about was to kind of give a narrative on their big item, and that's what Mr. Thompson has done with the communication piece there. He's going into detail as to what his thought process was for the communication piece. And he's kind of written a dissertation, looks like here, which is good. It's okay. I'm not going to. I don't think we need to have that in depth of an explanation as to what the big, I guess, big picture is as for, and we deal with. Let's talk about his particular one since we got that in our hands here. Communications, and then the sub items under there, the more identifiable or reachable objectives under that big scheme is database of commercial properties and business owners, the creation of a website, and I guess some kind of regular radio podcast input process to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly in Midtown. And now this is the first time I've seen this, so I can't really comment on what he has in this particular, I guess, summary part here. Let me see. I think the link's okay. All right, listen, I like this. He's giving us step by step on how he wants to do it. I like that. As usual, Lynn is on point. Our resident Hall of Famer is on point there. I like that. And he's talking about deliverables. I'm gonna take from this right here when I give me mine. I haven't done mine yet, but I'm gonna use this as a template because I like this here. Because it's all about, when we're talking about this at the very beginning, we don't want to just talk about what we want to have accomplished. We want to actually see it accomplished and have something that's achievable, you know. And what he's put together, just my little cursory review, is doable. And I can talk about mine right now, just to kind of get the discussion going. The small business investment, an incubator, some kind of apprenticeship program, internship. That's something that, and I've been talking with people about the internship program for as long as I can remember. Financial literacy, business capital, business operations, and workshops and classes. I'm gonna talk about that last one in a little bit more detail. When I was having a discussion with staff a couple of weeks ago, I was telling them about a program, I guess it's still going on. It's called Leadership Daytona. It's the one that the chamber puts on. And Jim Cameron, I don't know if he's still over there or not, but I tell people all the time is that, you know, they've probably had close to 30 classes, graduating classes over there. And he can look at you and tell you what class you graduated from. And he can tell everybody, all the other members in that class. And so it becomes like, you know, like pledging a fraternity. You pledge on a particular line and you remember everybody that was part of that line, even though you're part of the big organization. That line is your graduating class. And that's what I was envisioning with these workshops and classes. There's, you know, you go through the normal thing, but you also, at the end of the day, you become a part of that 2023 class. And so 20 years later, when you see each other at functions and stuff, you have that connection, that connecting tissue to say, yeah, we went through that class. And hopefully it motivates you to do something with the information and what you learned from that class. Do something, in this case, have your business grow or help someone else grow their business. And so that, to me, will be the carrot to go to that class, that you have something at the end of it to celebrate. You get the cap and gown, whatever you want to. And at the end of the day, you are part of something that was tangible. And so that's my thought process. And again, it's something that you can touch and feel. It's not just some pie in the sky. You know, we have a lot of those, you know, one of the things in my fraternity, we say, we want to make the relationship between the college brothers and alumni brothers better. I say, well, how can I measure that? I can't measure that. I want to know something that I can measure, you know. So that's what I'm pushing for this thing here. And the same with all of your different programs. I know the home ownership with Ms. Richardson, I know she wants to see something tangible. She talks about that every meeting. I appreciate that. But that's what we're talking about. And I know we don't have a lot of money, but the beautiful part about it is that there are a lot of programs out there that do have money. And I mention this all the time. You hear me say this word all the time, economies of scale. Just means that you don't have to be the one to come up with all the money. You just, somebody else has it, and somebody else has, you know, if you need $100, you get a program that has 25, you get another program that has 35, you get another program that has 15, eventually you get your $100. And it doesn't matter the fact you didn't get it from one place. What matters is that you got your $100. And so that's what we're talking about. And when we're talking about getting the housing authority mixed up, I mean, connected with the Habitat for Humanity, that is an example of economies of scale. When you look in Google, that's what economies of scale means. You're basically trying to lower the costs and spread the benefit of it as much as possible. So those kind of things are doable. We can do that even if we don't have the money coming from the budget from the city. And that's the one thing we want to push when we're talking about our needs plan, because this thing going to eventually grow, but you all as members have to find ways to make it happen, because you can trust and believe I'm going to do what I can to make my particular piece I have on there happen. I'm not going to rely exclusively on staff. I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make any sense to me. So you bring in the housing, the Habitat was great. I like that. That's what we need to make this thing work. So that's enough of me talking. Understand, we adopted this last month, but we're not going to put it in a notebook and leave it. That's not going to happen. This is a living document. I expect us to have some reports, if not every month, something to talk about moving our needs plan from the sheet of paper to something that's been done at least every other month, you know. Even after I'm gone, you've heard me say this the entire year, my last meeting is November this year, because we're not going to have a meeting in December probably. I'm out of here. So I'm hoping that we still have this thing going after that. That's my prayer. That's my hope. That's what I'm praying. So, but go ahead. I'll open up for the floor. Talk about Ms. Hardy.
Yes. As far as like, I know I chose the beautification of Midtown, and it was really ironic that when Ms. Wilson and I met at the One Voice meeting, because we attend the One Voice meetings every month, and I sat at the table with her, and we just started to talking about her program, and in that conversation, I learned that, you know, in partnership with her program, Commissioner Reed is already working on a beautification process for Midtown.
Great.
So I was like, okay, wow. So maybe our next step for us to see if we could get Commissioner Reed to come and attend one of our meetings, so she can tell us what, you know, exactly her strategy is for, you know, starting that process.
Right. And whatever that program they're doing right now, that would be listed under your particular, that's something that's being done right now.
Yes.
Because like I said, I'm gonna be gone, but I want you all to have something to hang your hats on when someone says, "What are y'all doing up there? Y'all meet every month. What do y'all do?" You say, "Okay, I'm glad you asked that question." First of all, go to our website. Start there, and I just have to have a sheet of paper that lists all the things we've been doing this year. That's powerful, people. It's called empowering each other. Simple as that. And so, you know, you thought you were gonna sit up here and not do anything. You've been rudely awakened, but y'all know that by now. So I appreciate that. Ms. Bonner, any contributions? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, on my end, mine is kind of a collaboration of many of these, because with the internship piece and the programming and the cultural piece, that is where my depth would be.
Okay.
And so I know that you had also selected that as well, but I have been researching some things on that.
Okay.
And ways that we can improve that, and also bring things into Midtown for others to share, not only through the programming, but you know, individualized mentorship and things like that.
Okay.
And providing services, whether they be educational, social, or cultural for young people. So that's what I have been working on.
Okay. Well, I don't mind. We can add your name.
Okay, I had already, I know it was somewhere there. It was under something, but.
That's under the one that my name is on there right now. We're gonna add your name before mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
So
good.
we could
Okay,
do
thank
that.
you.
It'll
I
be,
started doing some
Yeah.
things with that, so,
yeah, so, and put mine in smaller fonts if you can.
no, definitely.
Put it in parentheses, so I just look like I just piggyback.
No, join together.
No. But I appreciate that. Yeah,
You're
please,
welcome.
please take care of that if you can. Yeah. Okay. Ms. Richardson.
Well, I don't have anything from the last meeting to this one, but I will, when we meet next month, I will have some updates because I will be intentional in reaching out to her and her program
Okay.
and finding out how to connect the two
Okay.
so that we can find some additional information on that. I'm very interested in that. That would be a great
Fantastic.
connection for just our community. It would be an absolutely great connection. And a lot of people would love to know that that is a possibility of home ownership because they are in desperate need of home ownership. You know, rent is just absorbent,
Right.
cannot afford it. And families are living together, you know, in addition to living in cars or in tents and other places and stuff. We have quite a bit of people that need housing. So this is a great connection, but I will next month have what you need. Okay.
I believe that. Well, I appreciate that. And I guess that's pretty much what we're looking for. Again, the biggest thing is that we want to make sure this is a living document. It's something that we reference all the time. You know, I think we've done a good job doing that in a roundabout way with the master plan and strategic plan. And we know that because every time we've done something, our resident expert comes up and tells us we've done that. We're talking about Mr. Lewis. He'll tell you the page and the paragraph. Well, you know, that's already in there, you know, and I love that about that. So, but anyway, we beat this horse enough, and we're going to move on to new business and old business. I guess there's none. None, okay. Any public comments? None, okay. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Okay. I was gonna hold on it, but, because we always have some good input. Always good to have.
Lewis, you're on deck and on board.
Since it's always good to have some comments. Pierre Lewis, 130 South Franklin Street. You can go to it's a park now. If you go to Google, go to www.Midtown Daytona. That's a website that I created many years ago. I still have that URL. I set it, I parked it because it was something we were going to work on there. So I'd be at a later time and talk to Mr. Thompson about the stuff that I have that's parked right there. So here's a website, and because at the time when I created it, I know I got 3 minutes, they said that they wanted it to be called Midtown Daytona Beach. Somebody said, make sure I have that part, so I kind of parked it at that time, but I do have the URL that's there.
Good.
And it's paid for and stuff like that, so you can put information that's there. The other thing too is I thought it was a great meeting, Mr. Chair. I like the fact that you mentioned about the, not that you'll be leaving, but that the fact, I think that realistically, we all have to come to a conclusion that at some particular time, 2 years from now, you won't be here. I won't be here, you won't be here, you won't be here. And a succession plan is one of those things that I think needs to be in place for, not just for your positions, but for Midtown altogether. Because the problem, the challenge is the fact is, this is all about what's better for Midtown. Not just what's better for us, but what's better for Midtown. And one of the things that I've noticed when I was on the board for many years is somebody comes in and all of a sudden, we're sort of doing things that was, I won't say was done before because everybody can have a different set of eyes on something, but it pays if we can have a succession plan to say, listen, for that past year, we accomplished this, this, this. So a new chair comes in or just new board members will have some reference to say, we've done this, and it stops that because you've seen me pull out that big footlocker, so to speak, that's got all the plans and stuff like, and you will notice in there a lot of things are It's not that it's not the new, but you can refresh and see some of the stuff that was kind of discussed before, and it would help you out when you're doing your diligent duties on the board. The other thing too is, and I'll close with this, because I know I can be long because I'm under the 3 minutes, is that as we talk about like the needs plans and stuff like that, which I think is stupendous, Mr. Chair, the other thing I wanted to mention is that there's 20 goals there in the needs, in the area plan. Each area plan has, each one, 3 of them, those CRAs have their goals. If you were to say, take a look at those 20 goals and decide on at least 1 or 2 of those, that would be something that would be put into there. So the next person, back to the succession plan, when new members come out there to the board, the first place they're going to go to, that's going to be given to them is that area plan, the Midtown master plan, and then that commercial plan. So if we're not here, I'm not here, you're not here, your great knowledge is here, they'll always be able to use that that's actually in writing that says, listen, since what, 1998, they made that plan? So the question we got to say there, and then 2012 was the goal plan. It's like, why aren't we hitting on those goal plans this day? And I got 50 seconds. So that was my comments on it. And the last thing, I mean, that's... A long-winded friend of mine told me I was long-winded. So, y'all know what that's about. I'm like, really? And he's like, but that was a great friend of mine. The other thing I want to mention, too, is that a friend of mine also pointed out to me, said that there was a great community servant. I went to our service just the other day, and I'd be remiss if I didn't even mention about Miss Patricia Hurd. She spoke, she was on this board before. She spoke many times over to everybody. She's probably talking to God now, but I'm sure of that. But I wanted to at least say a vote of, however you want to say it, for Mrs. Hurd. She was a dear friend of mine. When I had the dinner with my role model, she was one of the ones that's there. So I at least wanted to mention Mrs. Hurd. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for your time.
Appreciate that.
Thanks to the board.
Yes, sir. As usual, you're on point, sir. Next up is Mr. Ronnie Mack.
All right. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good evening.
I'm from 318 North Caroline Street. Had a quick awareness piece and then a question for the board, kind of based on the lovely message from Brother Lewis. First and foremost, with us talking about the housing development piece, I live on 318. I love living in Midtown. I've only been there since December, but it's been a beautiful experience. But I'm dealing with a lot of transient, and I think my neighbors are dealing with the same thing, a lot of transient traffic, not just on the street, like through my yard, like through my house. And it's specifically dedicated to a lot right behind me. It's in between, I want to say 227 Parkway Street and 331. And speaking to some of the pieces that Darlene talked about, is that a lot that could be involved in development or another place to look. I'd rather it be a house than random people walking through, just for safety and things reasons. I just want to make the board aware of it, not saying that you all have an answer, but through future conversations. And up and down the street, there's some prime locations for development.
And so that vacant lot is on
Parkway
Parkway,
Street.
yeah. I think that's one of the, that's on,
Yeah, we're already addressing it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And thank you. Mr. Thomas was extremely helpful when I had a conversation with him, and hopefully we can get a fence up pretty soon once I finish talking with him. And then the second question I've had based on Brother Lewis' piece, great conversations, great context in regards to our manual. Have we ever done maybe a citywide, and this may have happened, I may be new, but like a citywide or focused conversation on development in regards to Midtown, including not only you all, but some of the nonprofits, some of the committee members, and some of the neighborhood individuals? Because I see there's a lot of development conferences, for lack of a better word, in our area. Has there been one dedicated strictly for Midtown and its development?
You mean like a caucus of
Essentially,
developers and
developers,
bankers?
developers, citizens, individuals like you all, even the universities and institutions that strictly are talking about moving forward some projects. So it's not all of you having to do it by yourselves.
Right, right.
I've seen it for other topics, but specifically for Midtown itself.
But truth be told, that's kind of the low-key purpose of this board. And that's the reason we're trying to, it's literally a wild tiger, you know, and it's kind of been all over the place for a long time. And I think it's because we've got, and I've never been politically correct, and I'm not gonna start now. We've never had competent people, I'm just being honest, that's in this department. We finally got it. And so, and I think that wasn't by accident, that was by design. Trust me, I know this, you know. And so we got new sheriffs in town. And so now we're being more focused. We're being more intentional about what we're trying to do. And so it's happening.
Yeah.
It's not going to ever happen as fast as folk want it, but that's the reason why you heard me when we were talking about the needs plan. We got to basically keep one step moving so that you won't be on the treadmill no more. You'll be actually out there. If you got to run a mile, you may as well run a mile in a nice around your city and city, whatever. Don't just do it on the treadmill on the track, because you just run in circles. We're trying to get off the treadmill. We're trying to get off the track and start running and staying in shape in the community. And so that's what we're doing now. So it's not as organized in that sense. But one of the things, like I said, when we talk about the communication piece that our board member Lynn Thompson is talking about, that's one of the purpose, so that you'll have one location to find out everything that's going on. Like we mentioned, the development right there on MLK, just south of ISB. They got a nice little rendering out there. Now we brought it to this board here. We talked about it and stuff. Maybe people will start going around, go by there and see what's going on. And so it's not going to be as organized, but I think things are going on. You know, and that was one of the reasons we have the spotlight on Midtown. We want folk to know that things are going on. You know, and it's not just distressed. Sure, we got that, but there's some positive things going on in the community. And in a sense, like I said, it's not the answer that everybody wants, but I think things are going on and things are happening now. And maybe that may be something we do down the road where we do that caucus and stuff. But we got to crawl sometime before we walk.
Yeah, I just want to throw the idea out there. I know my time pretty much up, but maybe that's something on a yearly basis. I know one Volusia's having their kind of yearly piece, bring the nonprofits together. Maybe it's the people who are all invested in Midtown. So it's not just you all doing the work, but everybody can be involved. Back to the fraternity piece. I mean, you can have a committee chair, but there got to be a committee behind said chair too.
Yes,
so
sir.
I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's an excellent idea.
I mean, and just to kind of further that point, we always talking about trying to create regularity, if you will, with our board. You know, we're talking about the elections, for example. We need to know that we're going to have elections at a certain time during the year, nominations or whatever. I can tell you that has never been something that's been structured. At least it started getting structured when we got the new staff, but trust me, it was like willy-nilly before. No one knew that in November or whenever we're going to do it, you have elections or nominations and stuff. And we talk about the needs plan. There needs to be a time of the year, every year, when we start talking about the needs plan, and then we get to a certain month, we adopt the needs plan. That is a calendar events that happens for the redevelopment board. And maybe one of those calendar events is we have a yearly caucus, a yearly conference, if you will, for business owners and developers and bankers and Habitat for Humanities and the Housing Authority, where we sit down and talk about what we want to do for the next year. It's a calendar of events. It's a regular thing that this board does every year. When you do that, folk, it starts running on its own. You know, we always want the people to be important, but eventually you want that machine to almost run by itself. You know, and we become moving parts. I mean, I'm just, you know, I'll be gone one day, you know, and so I would hope that I know it's going to keep continuing once I'm going, same with you all. So we want to have some structure in this. So I like that idea. We put that on something we do every year, you know. So, but anyway, I talk too much sometimes. But anyway, board comments. We'll start with Ms. Hardy.
I just had one question for Ms. Halloran. I know we haven't talked about the food truck rally because we couldn't do it during spring break. Is there any updates on when that food truck rally can take place?
We are looking at August. The person who Ken has contacted is finalizing a contract as we speak.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, August. I believe it's the third week in August, but it's August. We're looking at an August date.
Awesome. So I still think that's the week the kids go back to school.
And it would be on a Friday, from what I remember. It would be on a Friday. I believe it's the 20-something of August. Whatever that Friday is in August is what we're looking at.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Great meeting tonight. Thank you guys for always having great insight and the collective vision for the area and for the city.
And we love your input. You were quiet for a minute, but I'm glad you got out of that. Am I lying, Pierre? You was quiet, but I'm glad the tiger came out of you. So, I love that. I knew you had something in you. I knew this. I'm glad for that. Ms. Bonner.
First and foremost, thank you to our guests, Ms. Wolfson, others, Mr. Pierre, Mr. Mack, of course, and your bright ideas about some ways that can lead us into a very successful future. So it's very good to hear the different perspectives, and our guests for coming this evening as well. Overall, I think was a very good meeting, and I think it's progressive, and I look forward to continuing to work and putting some effort towards building more with this, not only through the report, but through other means as well. But I do applaud the collaborative piece that you mentioned, Mr. Mack, because that is a way of having the tie-in from the entire community. You know, a lot of times people say, well, things happen, but they're happening only with these people and those people.
Right.
And so I think it's very important. So thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to be talking about that at another meeting. For sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Ms. Richardson.
I just want to say thank you. It was a wonderful meeting. And yes, we're going to be talking about this caucus because that is an opportunity and a way for us to bring investors, other businesses, the community, the residents, all of us. We need that. So that could be an amazing event that could be started. I'd say immediately, but I know it takes time to kind of bring things together, but we have a wonderful staff and we have a wonderful board. So I know that could happen. So I would definitely want that to happen. I will definitely be following up.
Is that a motion? Are you making a motion for next month?
No, I'm not making a motion. Can I make a motion? Can I do that?
I'm not asking you. I'm just saying. Sound like a motion to me, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yes, I would
Okay.
like to make a motion
Okay.
that we look into trying to develop a caucus meeting that we would be able to bring developers, businesses, the community, nonprofits together so that we would be able to move this board, our ideas forward in the community. So yes, I would like to make a motion to do that.
Is there a second?
Right.
In the discussion?
I guess, Ms. Tolliver, would the staff
Yes,
be
for
the one
staff
like kind of
to
leading
start.
like how we would pursue that?
I would say that's to be developed. Keep in mind that what Ms. Bonner, Mr. Thompson, and Pastor Magella attended, the State Florida Redevelopment Association is a broader version of what you're already talking about. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just another event. It's just a bigger, broader event, but it's already in place on a state level. You're just focusing on Midtown specifically.
Yes.
And the main thing is just for a discussion item next month. correct?
Yes.
Right.
So that'll be an item on the agenda. We'll talk about it next month. Okay. Any more on readiness? Any more questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Any more, Ms. Richardson?
All right.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, I've got a few things. I'll start by, I guess, for lack of a better term, getting on a friend of mine for not reminding me of. He did post something on Facebook about the passing of Miss Heard, but he didn't follow it up with the funeral, with her homegoing service, and I got on him about that because she was a dear friend. Pretty much every time she see me at some place, she says, "Sean, behave yourself." That's basically what she would say to me. So that was her. She was a good person, and I hate that I missed her homegoing. I understand it was something to behold, and so I'm gonna chastise him for that. You know better than that. So, but and that leads into my second one, and this is just a thought. And I thought about this after I had the conversation yesterday, or whenever it was 2 days ago. I'm all for establishing kind of things that we should do from this board. And I was thinking about, with the fact that we have the spotlight on Midtown every month, and we're talking about things that are going on in Midtown, the communities, the business owners, and just people doing positive things in the community. I think, and again, I'm just thinking out loud here, we should have some kind of an award, some kind of something we give out every year to someone that's been positive, active-wise in our community in Midtown. And I'm thinking there's only one person that I know that was on a regular basis constantly trying to do something for Midtown. That was Miss Hurd. She didn't play, Good heart. You may not like the way she did things, but there was no doubt what she was about. She was about doing something positive, And so I'm thinking of some kind of award that this board gives out every year, and we call it something like the Patricia Hurd. But I don't want to just leave it at activism. I would like to have some kind of recognition for business owners as well. Somebody doing something positive, creating businesses or creating opportunities for individuals and stuff. And there's a name that pops up. He's no longer with us. He's been gone for a minute, but he was positive enough that we named a road after him, George W. Ingram. He was a businessman. He was something else. But that's just a name that pops up in my head. So I'm thinking like a Patricia Hurd / George W. Ingram Midtown Award, something like that. That this board, some people give their recommendations and stuff, and so 2 people will be recognized every year. One for doing the activism for Midtown, another one doing the business development and keeping Midtown thriving, if you will, business-wise. Okay. And it's just my thought, and it's just something that this board would do every year. Like we're talking about calendar of events, things that we do. Every year this board gives out an award to recognize individuals in the community that are doing something positive, business-wise, and just active-wise as well. But just something I'm thinking about. But if you like it, I guess we'll hear about it again. Otherwise, we'll move on. And then finally, the last thing on my little list here is that last month somebody came to our meeting and they had a clip-on bow tie, and I don't know why they do that. It blew my mind. I said, "Who wears a clip-on bow tie?" I don't know anybody that does that. And so we're gonna have.
You know what?
We're gonna have a how to tie a bow tie today, okay? We good? So zoom in on the brother. I'm gonna show you how to tie a bow tie. So that's what we're talking about tonight, all right?
Zoomed in on you.
This is how you do it. It ain't gonna be perfect, but this is the concept on how you tie a bow tie. It's real simple. If you can tie a shoestring, you can tie a bow tie, okay? So don't get it twisted, people. This is how we do things. This is real bow tying here. No more of that clip-on stuff. I was gonna show them that last week. It's not perfect. I'm glad you got it. I can see it. Okay. It's gonna be awful, but the concept will be there. Good Lord, I'm doing awful here, but Jesus, this is awful. You have to cut back to me, but when I get through, after the meeting's over, this thing will be perfect. But anyway, that's
We'll invite you to the bow tie.
I appreciate that.
Breakfast program that my supervisor has.
We are adjourned. Thank you.